Cancel culture, the plague of the internet. Careers ended. Small problems grew to one big mess of everything you could possibly think of. Even something that may be a little bit offensive probably got covered by cancel culture. Well, what is a cancel culture? Well, let me explain. Basically, cancel culture is the act of calling out pieces of media and ideas, and it could go even far as people for something they felt is morally wrong. Sounds good on paper, right? Well, that's because it is good on paper. But like a lot of things, sadly, in the world, when you put it in use in the real world, it puts it over the edge. Like them getting rid of the sweet old Aunt Jemima from her famous maple syrup brand. And because it was deemed as offensive, and mostly not even by the people affected by the character. Being black people, obviously. You probably know that. It's not even Aunt Jemima. So many small types of these cancellations happen. And most of the time, nothing even comes out of it. Maybe a response or little change, like removing the logo. I can list so many right now. I can start right now. Danny Gonzalez saying a Mexican slur in a quote that was not used in a racist way. Even the people affected by that slur thought he wasn't using it in a derogatory way. Carl Jacobs apologizing just for knowing someone called Ice Poseidon who was offensive in the past. Drew Gooden apologizing for a joke he said in 2015, 2016, which was offensive, don't get me wrong, but was so long ago and happened once, not showing a pattern of it happening again, shows that he is not that type of person. And that's just on the top of my head.
Cancel culture spans across all types of platforms, from the real-life world to the internet and video games. A famous example was an enemy from the game Minecraft called Enderman. People tried to cancel Minecraft due to the fundamentals of this enemy in the game and how it follows a lot of the classical stereotypes that black people have, although it wasn't intended. The sensitivity of the population is another issue in our society. An example is the double standard way that people are towards content creators of any kind. For instance, a rapper like Eminem, who most of the time has done a lot of terrible things, can be loved and cherished, but as soon as they make a wrong comment on social media or say a word in the song that people don't like, everybody hates them and tries to cancel them. Another example was the rapper who made song Murder on My Mind. People loved that song, but they tried to cancel him because he said the wrong thing in social media. People also tend to be sensitive over things that have been around for decades, though they've never been looked at as offensive until now, like the Land O'Lakes butter, which has been around for a long time. One more point is the game creator Scott Cawthon. He was the creator of the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise. Many people went back and saw his Republican and Christian background, figured it was enough to justify making him retire. This topic will be continued by Lewis.
Scott Cawthon donated several amounts of money to charity and others, although due to some searches, people have found that Scott Cawthon has donated to multiple Republican lawmakers and Donald Trump. And let's just say they didn't have the best opinions when it came to the LGBTQ plus community. Oh, also he was Christian, I guess. Scott Cawthon stated in a lengthy Reddit post, quote, "Even if there were candidates who had better things to say to the LGBT community directly and bigger promises to make, I believed that their stances on other issues would have ended up doing much greater harm to those communities than good." Now, I appreciate your opinion on Scott Cawthon. Everyone has their own opinion, of course. But he clearly showed that in his donations, he wasn't donating to them because they were homophobic or were against the LGBTQ. Rather, it was because he believed that their solutions to certain problems would solve rather than harm. When people believe someone is unjust with what someone or somebody says, they call attention to the issue to hopefully resolve the issue with the person in question. Although, there are some people who go to the extreme to call out the issue, so much that they are dead set on deplatforming them and ruining their career, even if they could be in the wrong. Dave Chappelle is an American comedian actor known for his satirical comedy sketch series, Chappelle's Show, but later quit the show in the middle of production during the third season. After leaving, he started doing stand-up comedy across the US. By 2006, Dave Chappelle was well known around the US as a comedy genius and was even featured in multiple films. On a Netflix special called The Closure, Dave Chappelle stated, quote, "In our country, you can shoot and kill a man, but you better not hurt a gay person's feelings." When hearing this, people rioted against him, calling him transphobic and homophobic, even though these were meant to be played off as jokes for a special. People of the LGBTQ+ community protested outside of Netflix for the special to be removed, and some Netflix employees just quitting due to the special. After this special, one of Dave Chappelle's transgender friends defended him on his transphobic comments and was hit with backlash after defending Dave Chappelle. After these comments, she later committed suicide after defending Dave Chappelle. The actions people took because of his comments were not necessary in the slightest, as people could have taken a more peaceful approach for the issue at hand. One way they could have taken a more peaceful approach is to stop watching his stand-ups altogether. It's not that hard to do, just stop watching the show. Now, I can understand why people did not find the jokes funny. Of course, humor is subjective, but there are definitely better approaches to an issue you do not like. And that's the thing people don't get nowadays, solving an issue peacefully. People immediately want to go the extra mile to get their point across, and sometimes people will spread misinformation trying to prove that others should be shameful for enjoying someone else's content. But I mean, hey, I guess this aggressive behavior has kind of worked. Here, I'll lead it on to the next person.
Done a lot of things in my past that I hate, that I wish I could make go away, that...
Cancel culture isn't all that bad though. There have been a few occasions where it has done what it was originally intended for. One instance is with Shane Dawson. Shane Dawson was a content creator for YouTube that started in the year 2008 and stopped around 2020 in January. Shane Dawson was incredibly popular, having hundreds of thousands of followers on all of his platforms. He ended his YouTube career around 2020 feeling he had to because of his fans. A few of his fans started to go through his older content and found a few concerning things. On its own, it wasn't that bad, a few edgy jokes here and there, which was completely normal for that time of YouTube. As it went deeper into his older content, they found clips of him doing things that range anywhere from racist skits to downright saying the N-word. Now, this alone should be reason enough for this guy to be taken off YouTube, right? Wrong. This isn't even all he does. Also seen in his content, you can find video clips of him creeping on Will Smith's daughter, when she had just turned a teenager. What they had also found was that Shane Dawson was allegedly abusive towards his cat, with repeated jokes about it in what seems like every other video. He denied everything about it on Twitter though. Even though all over the internet there are instances like this where Shane Dawson has admitted to most of these, he still had a platform on YouTube. It took strangers on the internet to come together against Shane Dawson for YouTube to even do anything about it. These people coming together against Shane Dawson for YouTube to even do anything. These people coming together to make it so that Shane Dawson isn't accepted on a platform for the terrible things he has done is exactly what cancel culture embodies and what cancel culture should be. Just one example of someone getting cancelled for all the right reasons. Another example of someone who deserved it is EDP445, or Brian Turhan Emerson Moreland. He was another content creator on YouTube who was cancelled. EDP seemed like an unproblematic equals super fan. One day, a group of people called the Predator Poachers pretended to be an underage girl online to lure him out to where they were. It worked, and where they were, they had set up a bunch of cameras to record his reaction to being tricked into meeting up with them. It was later found out that he had been talking to other underage girls online, and when he was approached about it, he said he was just trolling what he thought were fake accounts meant to troll him. When all this information came out, his fans disappeared. His entire fanbase turned against him, and he was forced off the platform by them. It's gotten to the point where EDP cannot even get a job because the story is spread wherever he goes.
Imprecise words.
Cancel culture can be inherently toxic, but when it is used in situations like this, it is used for the better. When it is used to take something down that could be in fact problematic when platforms won't do anything about it, it shows that cancel culture can be used for good rather than useless reasons. It shouldn't be take down minuscule things that hold no effect on how your everyday life goes on. In conclusion, cancel culture as it is now is a messed up practice, but we can still go back to what it was intended to be. Something that can help make places online and in the real world less toxic and scary.